This video is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Use code FLB at sign up to match up to $100 of your first deposit where you can win 20 times your money. Underdog Fantasy, daily fantasy made for you. So, I have a recap plan for a lot of the marquee teams that I had at the beginning of the season, and since we're now 10 games in, we have a pretty decent sample size of seeing what these teams look like. And right now, today's team is the Denver Nuggets, and right now, this team looks about as good as I expected them to be. As of right now, Denver Nuggets are 7-3, and while many people point to their schedule being kind of lax, I'm just say this: the San Antonio Spurs and Utah Jazz, they've played them multiple times, and those two teams are still beating other good teams. So the preseason odds may have those teams at the bottom of the league, but they're proving very much otherwise, and they definitely fought hard in those games against the Nuggets, which they did not win. But so far, the Denver Nuggets have been basically as good as I expected them to be. They're about a top 5 offense in the league, which I expect them to be at top 3, but it's early in the season. Let Jamal Murray get back in rhythm. And they are a middle of the pack defensive team, exactly what I expected them to be. Now, as of right now, Michael Porter Jr. is shooting 50% on threes on 7.4 attempts, absolutely shooting the cover off this damn basketball. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope shooting 50% on threes on 4.7 attempts. Jamal Murray, after just coming off of injury, is shooting 36% from 3 already on 4.7 attempts. Bruce Brown shooting 41% from 3. Bones Highland is shooting 51% from 3. This team is literally lighting everybody up in every single way possible. And this surge has led this team to not only lead the league in 3-point percentage, but also assists. And while a lot of that's being carried by Nikola Jokic, who's basically almost averaging a triple-double with relative ease so far this season, as he's not even close to as aggressive as he was last year, which he doesn't need to be. But this team overall does have a lot of pretty good decision makers. Right now, Bones Highland is one of the league leaders in secondary assists, and this team is just overall doing a great job of moving the ball, even with Nikola Jokic not being the main playmaker, as they have guys that are very capable of doing that in Jamal Murray and Bones Highland, even when he's off the floor. But while this team has been incredible offensively, they've been painfully average on the defensive end, and to be honest, a lot of their defense is being carried by their ability to defensive rebound, as they're one of the tops in the league in defensive rebound percentage at 74%, but they're also at the bottom of the league, or one of the bottom teams in the league when it comes to opponents' points off turnovers, since they're very turnover prone and very heavily turnover prone, mind you. They're one of the worst in opponents' points in the paint because they don't really have a true rim protector. Even though Nikola Jokic has been a positive on the defensive end for the past 3 years, he's still not the stout defensive center that you can expect, which is perfectly fine. You can't expect him to be with the amount of offensive load that he does have. And they're one of the worst when it comes to opponents' second chance points. Again, even though they're very good at securing the ball, when teams do get an offensive rebound, they do normally score on this team. But that has to deal with a lot of the injuries coming back this season, both Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. And while those two have never been stout defenders, they've been painfully below average so far this season on that end of the ball. So give them a little time to work their way back into this lineup. Offense comes a lot easier to those guys than defense does. So give them a little bit more time. I think you see this defense steadily climb, especially with guys like Aaron Gordon that doesn't seem to be in rhythm right now. But Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is doing a great job on the perimeter so far this season. Nikola Jokic is doing his job of being a above average defender as a center while being one of the best offensive centers we've ever seen in this league. So I don't think the defense is anything to be worried about yet. I think at by game 30 mark, we should really get a good sample size of what this defense is supposed to look like, and we'll come back to this and see how well they do look. But overall, this team is doing perfectly fine. But this is where I think the Denver Nuggets got a lot of people fooled. Especially even me. Going into the season, I expected Nikola Jokic to not only keep up the same level of offensive production that he had the past 3 seasons since he's won 2 back-to-back MVPs, but I expected just Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray to add on top of that and, become one of the best offensive teams we've seen in the league. But so far this season, it seems like Nikola Jokic is taking a slight step back on the offensive, at least as aggressive as a scorer right now, and he's letting these guys get back in rhythm. He is not dominating the ball as much, and he understands that even if when he doesn't dominate the ball, this team still has the talent to win. So I expected him to come out the gates firing to keep this team above water while these guys recover. But no, he's letting them work through the kinks, and this team has just been more than good enough to still win games while they're working through the kinks. And I think people are going to be very, very surprised that late in the season when these guys do fully get their legs under them and Nikola Jokic finally takes that turn to finally decide, okay, now it's time for me to be aggressive and truly push this team to the upper echelons of the Western Conference. You're going to be seeing this man put up some insane numbers as the season goes on. But as of right now, he is taking a slight step back and letting these guys really handle their own business, get back in rhythm from these injuries, I think is the best thing that he could have done as the leader and the best player on this roster. And to show just how much of a backseat this man has taken, he has the 3rd highest usage rating on this team. The man averaged 20 points, or 20 and a half points, 11 rebounds, 9.5 assists, and he has the 3rd highest usage rating on the team behind Jamal Murray and Bones Highland. He's letting these guys get back in rhythm and doing his own thing. Michael Porter Jr. didn't need any time to get back in rhythm, it seems, because he's just firing out the gates. But I think he recognized that Jamal Murray still needs to get his legs under him a little bit, and he's letting him work out the kinks in his game before he really takes over the reign as the number 1 option on this roster. And right now, the efficiency he's playing with at 69% true shooting is mind-boggling, but it's neither here nor there, right? Also, something to note, him and Aaron Gordon has struggled from 3 a little bit since the season has started. So as the season goes on, you fully expect them to go from the 23 and 27% they're shooting to about a good 33 to 35. And that should, offset the regression that comes with Michael Porter Jr. and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, because you cannot expect those 2 guys to continue shooting plus 50% from 3 the entire season. If they do, there's nobody beating this team at all. And right now, Coach Malone is, staggering the minutes a little bit, getting these guys back in rhythm. So I would like to see, as the season goes on, Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., and Jamal Murray get a little bit heavier minutes. Right now, Jamal is averaging about 27 and Michael Porter Jr. is about 29. I would like to see that get to the at least 32 to 33 range. Nikola Jokic is averaging 32.6. I'd like to see that get to the 35 range, so these guys can fully get some reps of being on the court for a full amount of time. So when the playoff time does come around, we don't have those issues where Nikola Jokic is getting kind of tired as the game goes on, is not used to heavy minutes on his body like he was last season or the season before that. But that's how I feel so far about this Nuggets team. I fully expect this offense to keep up this level of production, or probably even produce a little bit more as the season goes on and Nikola Jokic takes a little bit more of the reins. And I fully expect this defense to get slightly better as time does go on for them, as these guys get back in rhythm and get healthier, because even though they weren't great defenders before, they've been painfully below average so far this season, and giving them the time to really work back in is really what this team needs. I fully expect the minutes to be a lot higher for these guys as the season goes on, and I fully expect the team to take probably a nice big jump after the All-Star break and winning probably a good couple games in a row, or a couple of staggered 3 to 4 game winning streaks as the season goes on, and then be a top 3 team in the Western Conference. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Click down below. Do you think this Denver Nuggets team can really take the reins and lead this Western Conference? If you want to see another Denver Nuggets video I made, you can either choose this one where I talk about this team earlier, or we can look at the video where I talk about how the media is ruining Nikola Jokic's career right now, or trying to. With that being said, this is FIB. That is my time, and I'm out.